Many are hoping for some meaningful reform on social media policies amid worries that platforms are unfairly targeting conservative voices. That's according to One America's Jack Posobiec, who spoke with a former content moderator from Facebook.
We're very excited to welcome to One America News for the first time someone who has been on the inside of big tech, Silicon Valley, something we talk about every day. But we don't just talk about these stories, we go to the people who are actually there to tell us in their own words what happened. And that's why I'm very excited to bring in today Zach McElroy. He's a former content moderator at Facebook. Facebook, of course, one of the largest social media platforms here in our country, and obviously something that's been a topic of extreme discussion through the 2016 election, now going into the 2020 election. Zach, thank you so much for being with us here today, and I commend you for coming forward and speaking out on this issue.
Well, you humbled me. Thank you kindly for having me.
So tell me, as a Facebook content moderator, what was your job?
Well, as a content moderator, as opposed to someone on the programming side of things that deals with the algorithms, I am someone who is tasked with determining whether a post that gets reported on the platform violates the guidelines and whether it gets deleted or taken up. A lot of people don't realize, they think bots handle all of this, but there are a large number of people who actually deal with the posts that get reported on Facebook and Instagram.
What did you see that you, in your own words, just said abuse in terms of politics on Facebook?
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the most egregious things, kind of have to come in swinging and talk about one of the most important things. They had an exception in their violence policy for people on the designated hate individuals, dangerous individuals list. They have a list of people who are categorized as dangerous or hateful, other such things. And this was reported on briefly last year. There was a omission. There's a clause in the violence policy where normally you're not allowed to make calls for violence and threats against people, but they actually allowed that for people who are on these lists of dangerous individuals or hate individuals. So briefly reported on last year was that you could do this against people who are on this list, such as Gavin McInnes or other people who are implicated, like Milo, Laura Loomer, InfoWars, Alex Jones, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially, you could make death threats against people on the platform.
Right. And so what other types of political abuses would you see at Facebook in your time there? Or maybe ones that you heard about as well from others that you worked with?
Yeah, so the hateful and dangerous figures list includes almost exclusively people on the right-wing extremists, in other words. It includes every obscure Nazi general and officer from World War II that you've never heard of, and some right-wing extremist activists in Europe and the UK, etc., Tommy Robinson, but they don't have anybody on the left on that list. I mean, you can say as much as you want about some of these right-wing, extreme people. Maybe they're violent, but there's no one on the left there. I mean, I think they had a thing where they banned Louis Farrakhan at some point, but it's kind of like 1 out of 1,000.
Right, so it's completely imbalanced. Obviously, there's more things on Facebook than just politics, but yet it always seems again and again that these rules, these cues, these guidelines are created and then only applied to conservatives and supporters of President Trump.
Oh, absolutely. And, you see this in the internal culture as well.
What would you like to see in terms of bringing that platform back to where it once was this idea of the free share of information and kind of this digital public square?
Talk is cheap at this point. It's been years. They've been doing this so many times. Nothing has happened. I think at this point, our last resort and our only option is legislative action. I fully support that, even though it's a bizarre day when I say I want more government regulation. But I think that this is the only place that is a special scenario. It's a special case. I think we really need to see that because the consequences of tech censorship are they're too big to say. Especially leading up to the election, we're running out of time. Public discourse is online, and a large portion of that discourse online is handled by Facebook and Instagram. They wield such power, and I think the case for regulation is great, and I, for one, am willing to testify before Congress the things that I've seen, because I am very passionate about seeing change, substantive change for once, actually come about this.
Zach McElroy, I thank you so much for joining us here at One America News, and I thank you for your courage and your bravery for having a voice to speak out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.